Hi everyone, this session is about Constellation Architecture and Digital Experience DX APIs. What we will cover in this session: first, recap of the previous session, what we covered in our Constellation Part 1 session, and a detailed walkthrough of Constellation Architecture. We will go through what is involved in the client-side architecture of Constellation primarily, and then we hop on to role of DX APIs v2 in Constellation. Okay. Firstly, coming to the recap of previous session, we have created an application from App Studio which is built on top of Cosmos React. The application name is Payment Services. We have also briefly discussed about the use case as part of the context setting, and we discussed what is the need to create this application and also a process within the Payment Services application, which is a payment request. And we have configured the stages and steps, all of this from App Studio itself. We haven't used Dev Studio anywhere in our part 1 in our previous session, which is good. Now that is about the quick context, right? So okay, now what happened as part of the application creation is we saw that our operator ID is mapped to the new access group, which is Payment Services Others. And within the access group, we also witnessed a new portal, which is Web Portal. And let us see, I'm just curious to see what is this web portal because this session is most connected to this. And we see that the portal, it says portals created using React UI cannot be converted back to standard UI mode, which means there is not much we can do in Dev Studio to change anything related to this portal. Of course, there are ways to do it and we will talk about that a bit later. At least the basic changes what we can do. But for now, we get the first impression that, okay, this portal is configured using the React UI. It is not the standard UI mode. Okay, that is clear. And also we have seen how that portal looks like when we are navigated to the web portal, right? For that, I'm launching the web portal. That gives us the brand new portal, which is the React UI, right? We see let's go through the aspects of this portal, like what constitutes this portal. First, I see the application name, good. I see the navigation menu items, home, my work, explore data, dashboards. And there is a way to create we also have a create menu, which is good. And these are all notifications, resends, and expand. Each and every detail is important so that we can go through that other aspects when we cover the architecture and DX API in this session. Okay, and the other constituents of this portal is I see announcements, my work list, my followed items, and pulse. Good. I think most of these are familiar. Now, we'll briefly discuss about the architecture and come back over here. But just before that, let us ask few questions for ourselves. Okay. As most of you know, the React portals, that means at client side, there is a React UI which has rendered this React portal, right? That is a context. Now, how React UI has rendered the data that is present in Pega, which could be the tasks which are pending with the user, which is my work list, which means these are the actual assignments or tasks that are pending on my name, which are rightly brought and are shown in my work list, which is good. But okay, this is a React UI component, but React UI component got sourced with the data coming from our Pega, which is okay, good. And the same way, my followed items. As of now, I don't think I have any followed items, but let's do one thing. It's not a big thing. We'll go to one of the case and we'll start following that. So it appears in that component. And now I navigate back to the home screen. Yes, now the auto refresh has happened and I see that, okay, my followed items, I have one result. Oh, this is again nice view. So again, this data is stored in Pega. So React UI has got the data from Pega and it is trying to show in the UI, which is good, right? Now, in the background, what is helping to power this UI? That is the question. And how this React UI is there and how the data coming in from Pega is coming and staying on these components on the screen, right? So how all this rendering is happening, to understand that, we can go through the Pega Constellation architecture. Now, coming to the interesting part, Constellation client architecture. Okay, before you notice anything on this architecture, first observe that there are three aspects which are notated with these legends. Pega, that is, which is represented in duck egg color, this one, and then we have customer extensions which are represented within this yellow color, and finally builder tools which is represented in this orange color. Okay, now let's talk about Pega because we're more familiar with Pega. It's always good to start with Pega aspects in this architecture. The most familiar part in this architecture is Pega Infinity Server. This is where we are creating our applications, case types, leveraging all the powerful case management capabilities of Pega. So there is not much to explain about Pega Infinity Server. We know. So this is where our application resides and this is where our case types are created and all the magic happens, right? Okay, now coming to the client browser, that is the next one in this architecture. Now we know that even much before to this constellation also, users log into the browser and they make a request to the Pega Infinity server. That's it. And now prior to constellation, prior to constellation, from client browser, if client makes any request, that request goes to Pega server and response used to be rendered on the UI of the client. Okay, even now it's just pretty much the same. But earlier, all the UI used to be rendered using Pega's UI itself, right? So how we used to do? Within the stages and steps, we used to go and configure the sections, and with the help of those section rules, all the UI used to be rendered in the client side. But now coming to the constellation, we have not configured any section in our previous session, right? We have not configured anything related to UI. All we have done is we have configured views from the App Studio. Within the views, we have configured only the data model. And all the UI aspects are coming or derived from somewhere else based on that configuration. And how that is happening within the client browser, you will see Cosmos React, which is the Pega one here. Cosmos React 1, which is providing the presentational aspect of the components, and Cosmos DX components. Okay, that is coming in from Pega, and it has front-end bridges, React, Angular, web components. That's fine. It's very much low level. We'll go to that bit later. And then we have Constellation JS. We can also take a look at this in our browser in some time, all these components, where these present and all. But for now, what is important is how come client's browser, in this case, I am the client, I have the browser where I have the web portal. And how come my web portal is able to get these presentational components and DX components? Yeah, that's a good question, right? So for that, how it is getting that is this arrow. If you see, Pega, again, these are coming from Pega in this example, in this demo. So Pega has given us a Pega UI service. There is a URL which we will be referring to. I'll be showing you as well. From that URL, Pega is going to get the static content, and then based on that, it is going to present as the presentational components, and it is going to leverage the DX components coming out of the box with this Cosmos React. Okay, now we may say, okay, with this we are getting all the presentational aspects, DX components, with which we can see the output for the payment request example what we have taken, right? Okay, this is good. What if my customer has some new format which is not part of the DX component? Maybe DX component is only giving some few column layout. I want one more extra column as part of the additional DX component. What can I do? This architecture is flexible in that way where customer has to take care of that in this extension DX components. That's why we are naming this as, we are denoting this in different color, which is depicted as customer extension. So we are clear. Anyways, for custom design system, we'll go there to understand the concept itself and the architecture itself. You need not to worry about the custom design system as of now. For that, what I'll do is I just hit that custom design system for simplicity. If you are able to understand this Cosmos React, with the Pega out of the box, what Pega is providing, the same architecture will hold good even for custom design system. And we can go into that when we're actually going through that demo. In the current demo, what you're noticing is in Pega, we have created an application and a case type, and we are leveraging all the components, DX components directly, which are coming from Pega itself. We are not using any custom design system. Maybe in the next demo, first we can see what is the extension DX component as a next level, and then the further level we can go and check what is a custom design system, when it is needed, on what occasions it is needed, what are the business scenarios, or how customers can come up with such kind of requirements. That we can discuss later. But for now, the good thing is these are all the separation of concerns. If you see, Pega is taking care of case management in this aspect, right? Which Pega is too good in doing it. And client browser is holding the resources of the Cosmos or React based UI components, which is giving a great look and feel. And we are saying Pega out of the box itself has given a lot of DX components, which means the design is ready. And if we have to make one more DX component, we can extend and make few more DX components, right? That is the idea behind this. Okay, about Constellation JS and all, we'll see when we are looking at the demo, we will see exactly in client browser where they are residing, what exactly these are. We'll also take a look at that. Yeah, but coming to the actual question, right? In the client browser, how come there are React based UI resources? Are they referred somewhere? Yeah, we will get to see that in some time. But before that, coming to architecture, Pega has provided this Pega UI service, which is on cloud, and it has this Pega UI service, which is coming in from here. So all the resources required for this React-based UI are coming in from this Pega UI service. We'll see. I mean, as a user, I have done mere configuration to provide these URLs in the Pega Infinity server that has taken care of this part, which means the architecture is taking care of this thing where all the React UI based stuff is rendered on the UI by bringing it from here. Okay, in the demo, you'll clearly see from where the requests are going in and how the response is coming in. You'll be able to see that. Okay, so overall, these are the three high level things I would like to highlight in this architecture. Okay, once we know this basic and we get a hands-on the demo, like to see what is what and where exactly things are happening to render some of the aspects on the UI, it will give you more clarity. Okay, just to summarize what we discussed. So we discussed briefly about Pega Infinity Server. We know its role. And we also have seen how React UI aspects are coming into the resources are coming into the client browser. That is with the help of the Pega UI service, which is in place. In the demo, I'll be taking you through the configuration on how that happens. Okay, and on how that is happening. Okay, and now coming to the important aspect, REST DX APIs. What is the role of REST DX APIs? This one also I'll directly show you in the demo. But before that, I'll try to give you just a glimpse, right? So the React UI is rendering the UI aspect, but how come the data is also coming in that UI aspect? Like in the web portal, we have seen my work list, and the my work list is giving a lot of information, right? Which is not specific just to the UI. It is specific to the even the application data. It is a lot of metadata which is coming in that. All of that metadata, the client browser is going to make a hit to the Pega Infinity server and get the details using this REST DX API v2. Okay, the version 2. Yeah. With this, we can get to the next part of the session, which is demo. How the React based portal is rendered, right? For that, what we do is we directly jump into the waters. Okay, so what I mean by that is let's directly launch the use case first. Here we are launching the web portal. Okay, behind the scenes, there is a lot which is happening. We also understood that the architecture looks like this. These are the blocks involved in the architecture. All of that is fine. Yeah, so we see that the portal is rendered. Before to this, I must show you some configuration which I have done prior to this demo. That is mainly if you have the Pega instance where you are doing this, where you're trying out this Constellation based app, I would recommend you to navigate to this dynamic system settings and search for the purpose as constellation. Okay, with that you would notice few DSS, which is mainly constellation SVC URL, constellation Pega static URL. These are the two main things which I would like to talk about in this session. Mainly constellation Pega static URL. This is https release.constellation.pega.io. So this is the Pega static URL. Okay, this is coming from Pega. So I'm preferring to use this one for this demo, and in most of the cases even most of you would do the same for your demos, and when it comes to your real applications also you will evaluate this one, right? Okay, and constellation SVC URL for this session we need not to worry much about it, even we can explore that later as well. For now let's focus mainly on this one because our use case used in this demo is connected to this. Yeah, now with that, let's jump on to another aspect, which is the DX APIs. What are DX APIs first? Before we get into the actual demo, because there we'll see that the DX APIs will be kicking in and they will be providing some responses which will be used in rendering the portal. That's a use case for today. But what is a DX API? If you are new to that, it is a digital experience API which Pega has introduced. This we had DX API version 1 and version 2, right? For that, what I'll quickly do to navigate to that, we navigate to this Pega API from here, and we see there is an option here which is service package, and that it is taking a bit of time to load here, but once it comes up, I will show you that. Right now it is trying to pick a service package which is v2 dx API. Under that it is going to give us the list of methods or operations that are supported. Once we hit that operation method, API method or operation with the valid request, then it is going to give us a valid response, right? That is how it works. Now here we see, okay, good thing, it is also supporting the app alias URL, that is fine. But for this demo mainly, what I would like to show you is, yeah, there is a version 1 Pega API, which is okay, that's fine. And V2DX API is what we are going to use in this use case. Since we are referring to Constellation, Constellation architecture uses this V2DX APIs, and mainly in our scenario where the portal is getting rendered, how the portal is rendered, what DX APIs it will invoke, the client browser will invoke to this Pega Infinity server. That these are the questions, right? Now, what are the list of operations or methods that our Pega Infinity server supports as part of this DX API? We can go through this and we can have a separate session where we can have a walkthrough about assignment, attachment, cases, document. There are lots of aspects here, right? Which is good. That means this is a Swagger UI, so everyone can understand this. Once we authorize, then we can start accessing these operations, and then we can get to see the each methods request and response as well, right? This is at a very high level. We'll have a separate session where we'll have a walkthrough to walk through the Postman collection which contains this DX API, or we can also directly look at here in this Swagger UI as well. Okay, with that, let's jump on to the demo, which is now coming back to the portal, how these are rendered on the screen. For that, my favorite tool to look for any of such aspects for debugging or to understand these kind of architectures is to rely on the developer tools. Okay, what I'll do is I'll open the developer tools. You can alternatively click on Control Shift I, and this is my developer tools. Yeah, one thing did you observe already? I mean, if you if you are new to this developer tools, it will have few options where you can arrange your developer tools in this fashion. Right now I want it to the extreme right. That's how I am comfortable now, because we'll be capturing a lot of traffic. If you are comfortable in capturing in this way at the bottom, you can also try that, but for now let me show it to you in this way, but that's totally up to you. Yeah, that's your preference. Now coming to developer tools, okay, There are a few basic things which will help you in doing so. But before that, see how the portal is responsive now. Okay. Now I'm trying to stretch this towards left, stretch the developer tools towards left. You will see this pulse gadget or pulse widget is going to push to the bottom. This is how even the mobile will be rendering your UI, right? See, yeah, let me adjust a bit more so that we'll get a feeling how this will be. See, even in mobile, if you're going closer to it, this left side navigation got pushed to this three horizontal lines, right? This icon, which means users can click and on demand it is going to pop up, right? That is good. Just prior to our demo, I just wanted to show you some aspects of this portal, how the look and feel is for the navigation. Okay, I'm just figuring out a way to collapse this one. Yeah, once I click outside, then it is going away, which is fine. So this is cool. This is a responsiveness. We see the announcements, my work list, my followed items, and pulse on the left side. And now we would like to see how this entire portal is rendered. Correct? For that, I'm tracing network here. I'm also clicking on refresh, reload this page. Okay. For security reasons, I'll be hiding this host name on my screen throughout the demo. Probably I'll make it blank or blur. Don't get confused with that, but just imagine that there is a host name over there. Okay. Now I click on reload this page for this portal. Let's see what happens on the network trace. Just before you do the network trace, it's good to have few options. I'll also take you through that, but let me go ahead and hit this reload. Yeah, you see, okay, right now it is asking me to log in again. Let me do that, and as a fresh start, let us try to trace it once again. Okay, for now I'm stopping the trace. We'll again start fresh. I'm closing the browsers and hitting the Constellation once again. We are in App Studio. I can directly turn editing off here, or I can also navigate to Dev Studio and launch it so that it will help me to showcase few things during the demo. That's why I'm going through that route. So launch portal. Yeah, we are in our web portal. And same thing as we did before, we will go and open developer tools. Okay, this is where we are. And we are trying to capture the network trace by reloading this screen. Yeah, we just reloaded and we saw that in a flick there are a lot of things which has happened in the network trace. What I did prior to this demo is I have ensured that my network trace is having the things that I need. For example, I have enabled all of these things. If you want, you can also do that. Okay, or feel free, like if you want to know the domain protocol, if you add that, they will all show as extra columns over here. And we nicely see each request has taken what amount of time, even in the span of within this timeline. Good, right? I personally like this. So this will help me to understand usually the network trace. So most of you must be familiar with this. If not, also that's fine. You can try it this way. The first and foremost request that went to the server is it went to our Pega Infinity server saying, hey, I want to launch so and so web portal, right? And then what happened? As part of the response, it is saying 303, which is like it is redirecting the server to something else. And what is that something else? Now let's go to the next one. Then it is trying to, yeah, same thing. It is trying to open the web portal. This is fine. Then the redirect has happened to this one, which is release.constellation.pega.io, right? And then it made a hit to Pega bootstrap component.js. You have seen in the DSS, we have updated this one, right? In the Pega Constellation specific DSS, I was just showing you some time back. We have updated a configuration related to this, and what's happening, behind the scenes. Now it made a request to this, and it is trying to load everything that is needed. You know what a bootstrap means, right? Like a initializer part. So the bootstrap component is ensuring that I am the client in this case. This is my client browser, right? This is the browser. In this case, I am the client. So we call this as client browser. So from here, a request went into the Constellation, the release.constellation, this domain with the bootstrap, which means it has to load whatever it needs for the further processing, right? That's how I, at a high level, I keep it so that it is very generic. Okay, not going into the detail. And with this, what's happening exactly? If you're interested, what is there in Pega Bootstrap component.js? Maybe you might ask, hey, probably if I need something for debugging at a very high level, if I have to understand something beyond it, still there are few ways. The easiest or quickest way I can show you is navigate to the sources. Normally, any JavaScript related files, if you are trying to hit, they get loaded in this sources tab. And here you see, you know what is our domain, right? It is release.constellation.pega.io. Under that, you see this one prod, and under that, you saw that it is trying to make a hit to Pega Bootstrap component.js. Let me switch to the other one. Yeah, Pega bootstrap component.js. This is the one. And then it is giving it some response. And if you would like to understand what exactly is there within that JS, you can also take a high level, no, not high level, this is a low level look. If you want to have a view, feel free to have it. But also take a look at this JS, because in some time we'll come here. But navigating back to network trace, you are seeing after that a lot of JS invocations have happened, right? I'm not going through each and everything, but few core things, like example constellation core .js. What exactly has happened here? Nothing much. I don't see any. Yeah, here constellation core.js. It made a hit to this JS file, which is residing in the same React prod prerequisite. Let's see if that is there. React, if we have to know more about it, yeah, React prod prerequisite, yeah, there is one, Constellation Core JS, okay. And okay, it made a hit and it is trying to fetch some response out of it. That means it is loading all the JS stuff onto the client browser, for which is needed for further processing, right? To render all the UI on the screen. I'm just keeping it very generic at a high level, but with respect to use case, when we are actually debugging something, I think all of these things will help us. Same way, like preview view container. Definitely, we are rendering a lot of views on the screen, for which preview view container and loading component. Let me look at this one. Same React prod JS. Let us see in the same React prod JS. I'm giving you one example in each and everything. Here also you see there is one to loading component. Perfect. So we are able to map things like what's happening here, what are the requests that are going in. Okay, this is fine. But now I would like to see, okay, where are these DX APIs? How this data is loaded on the screen? We said there is a lot of metadata that is going to be pulled by this React UI via DX APIs. Where are they exactly in this, right? You can see if you take a closer look, I'll just navigate once again. Within this, you have lots of requests. Okay. One thing I can quickly show you is this one. If you see web portal, start with this. This is familiar. That's why I clicked on this, but we can also drill down with few options. Yeah, let us go in this way. Web portal. Here in this request, we see that, okay, it made a request to our, this is our Pega Infinity server. As I said, the domain name you're not able to see because I obfuscated it. But the rest of the things will be same even in your case, right? And it is making a hit to one of the API which is in Pega, which is API application slash v2 slash portals slash web portal. What exactly is this service doing? Right? Is it really part of a DX API? You might be having a question. Yes, it is. Okay. We'll see in some time. Just for simplicity, what I'll do is I'll copy this URL, this last portion of it, so that we'll use it in some time. I'm going to show you what is the exact service package, what Pega is trying to do when someone hits that service package, right? I mean, what is exactly Pega doing within that service package with this actual service itself, which is this portal slash web portal. It's a get, and what is our service activity doing in Pega? We can all take a look at that. But very interesting thing here is this is a request where a get request is gone here. And then in the response, you will see all the details that it needs, right? So you see it gives all the portal specific details over here. And then it has d underscore my work list, the values for that. And then this gives a high level view on how all the data is rendered here. There's a lot of data and there is a lot of metadata which is helping the which is helping this UI. Right, UI is a skeleton, and that is getting rendered on the runtime with the help of this metadata. And who is powering this? The DX API v2. This is that v2. We will go to this service package which is known as application in Pega. We'll open that and we'll see the one which is specific to v2, and then in the version 2 what is the portals and web portal is exactly doing, in the what service activity is exactly doing. Ultimately the high level thing is it is returning the response which is needed on the UI that you have clearly seen. Right, if you have to look at likewise what are all the HTTP requests where all the fetch happened, right, you can also, the way I do this is I click on this, it will basically filter. If you want to see everything once again, you can click on all, but I would like to filter to see what all fetches have happened. Right, for that, like example, in my case I have one followed case, I know that, so I click on d_py my followed cases, navigate to headers to see the request. It is a post and it is making a call saying hitting one more DX API of type v2. Right, so what it said, okay, data views, and it passed a data page, and then it returned a response which is needed, like this is the data for that data page. Correct, I have only one followed item, so that's why if there are two results, then two rows would have appeared here. That's how UI is rendering the data that is coming in from these DX APIs. This is very important. I just showed you a few examples like web portal, how the response has come in, and for my followed cases, how it has come in. Likewise, there are lots of things. For Pulse also, if you see this mention types, as of now, I don't have anything. But even for mention types also, it is a DX API. And if you see the response, this is how it is. But yeah, in future you can give a try. At least I think this my followed cases is so easy, right? If you follow a couple of them, they start showing up here. In my case, I just followed one of them and I see in the response, first of all, the request is going in, and then we see the response, which is good. So the architecture wise, we understand, okay, the client browser is having all the resources which are getting loaded from the cloud part, what we discussed from Pega, right? Once we have all of those resources that is needed on the client browser, then at a situation or when in demand, it is going and making a hit per use case. That's how actually we are not doing anything. All the design is in place as per the Constellation architecture. As a developer, a low code developer, or even a citizen developer, whatever it is, all we are doing is trying to understand how things are working in the backend by tracing this one. So at least we are making sense of what has gone in the first, right? And what has happened after. Likewise, we are trying to analyze. And we started, the request has started here, right? Where it started from Pega server, and then ultimately it went to DX API, which made a hit to the DX API and got the whole response. And also we saw if there are other components on the screen which is trying to fetch some data, even there also it is hitting those data pages, right, with the URLs with our DX API like this, right, to fetch the response. And then once the JSON response is in, it is acting as a source to load this UI, these views basically. Yeah, hope that would have connected the dots for some of you. All in all, to summarize, we have gone through the context setting, like what we have done in the session 1 about the application creation and the case type, and then we quickly touch based on the use case of how the portal looks like, the Constellation portal, and we briefly discussed about Constellation client architecture, and within that we have seen the demo as well. But as of now, the architecture we covered to an extent where we are leveraging everything from Pega Cosmos React, Pega Cosmos design system itself. What if there is a need within that Pega Cosmos design system, the DX components are not sufficient, maybe we have to create a couple of more to satisfy customer needs. That is when we have to do an extension, we have to create an extension DX component. We will take a look on how to do that, or about the process of how to achieve that in the next video. And also in the further videos, we will take a look at how if I don't want to use like just the Cosmos React, there are a few requirements for which I have to rely on my own custom design system. Then how to deal with that, even that we are going to cover it in future sessions. Okay, hope you have followed the content of this session, the previous one and this one. If you like this, feel free to go through the other videos, but this is a Pega Constellation series which is going to cover the stuff which is needed to understand constellation. Okay, hope that helps. Thank you.